were at the World Championship. People thought the RNG is going to stomp us. We played two very, very good games. People thought Genji is going to stomp us. They didn't show up in their best form, but we beat them as well. No mountain is too big to climb. We have our climbing gear, and we have strong legs and arms, so we are ready to take on the challenge.
Hello everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, joined once again by YamatoCannon. I think you are the second most interviewed coach on the channel. I believe it's Young Buck, but it's a close... No, actually, I think you're first. It's like a 9-to-8 interview ratio, so it's very close. But looking good as always. Happy about the win against Schalke. Happy to bounce back after yesterday. That must have felt particularly special now that you are tied for second place.
Yeah, for sure. Like today, coming into this week, Schalke was the big game. There was a lot on the line in terms of who is the better second place team. Obviously, one best of one is not going to change that. For us, looking back at the SK Gaming game, it was the worst game that we played with this alteration. Like for me, this was the worst game we've ever played, and it was the best thing to do was to bounce back. So it was the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Were there any issues in terms of, like, did the team not properly prepare compared to other teams for SK, given that you maybe thought, hey, you underestimated the opponent maybe? I
felt like, yeah, we were a bit less focused. We were in a position where we didn't expect to be in. We did some mistakes with the Caitlyn Morgana lane. We ended up being behind and we didn't really adapt. We kept trying to do the same thing over and over, and it doesn't really work. And when we tried doing the same thing over and over, we saw SK just taking everything, taking Tower, Herald, Drake, and eventually Baron. And eventually they were just too far ahead because Caitlyn, Jinx being ahead on items is going to be problematic. So we were just very, very inactive as a team. We lacked the energy, we lacked the focus, and we made the necessary changes coming into the next match.
Now, tied for second place. After week 5, there's a decent result. But of course, when we first spoke in week 1, the aspirations were to get that title. Even in spring, at least compete for it, for sure. Now, G2 right now look phenomenal. 9-0 right now, maybe 9-1 after today, but it doesn't look realistic right now. They look absolutely phenomenal. Is there any realistic way for Vitality to challenge G2 in its current state?
Well, I think G2, right now, for sure, they are ahead of the curve by far. I think it's very similar in almost all regions. It's crazy, like with Griffin and IG. I think...
They lost against LGD today.
Today? I didn't watch today, so that's...
Who was the last...
We filmed this interview yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. So G2 is losing. That's the prediction. That's what's happening.
Apparently, but they need to play. They need to lose against Rogue because IG actually lost to LGD, who were last place in the league. So complete upset there.
I think Jackie Love didn't play. Maybe that's why. I think West played. Yeah, but the West is also good. Anyways, back to G2. The question at hand. I think if anyone's going to challenge them, I think it's us and Schalke. I think best of fives are going to look vastly different, and G2 definitely they're ahead on the curve, but. We see it as it is. It is a challenge, but we're going to take it. We're not going to think to ourselves, oh, G2 is better right now. We're going to just give up. No. We have the players and the capacity to compete with them. So that's what we will do.
But how, as a coach, do you mentally prepare your players going up against a matchup? For example, your bot lane going up against Perks and Mickey X, your mid laner going up against Caps. Like, how do you mentally prepare them and give them the strength to have such a uphill battle? I think that's a fair terminology to use here.
There's always ways. For example, we were at the World Championship. People thought the RNG is going to stomp us. We played two very, very good games. People thought Genji is going to stomp us. They didn't show up in their best form, but we beat them as well. No mountain is too big to climb. We have our climbing gear, and we have strong legs and arms, so we are ready to take on the challenge. I think we are fearless. I think this weekend as well was showing of that. We had a very low in the SK Gaming match, and we bounced back heavily and showed up big time today. So I think that any type of challenge we approach head on, and we are mentally prepared for anything.
Speaking of challenges, would you agree that the quality of the league, of the European League, has massively improved since last year, since you came into the league with Vitality?
It's hard to judge because it's best of ones. So I think a lot of people had very inflated opinions of teams. I think right now we see Misfits. I don't know what their standing is right now. I think 4-5, 5-4. They had a very booming start, and then they lost against us, and they continued to lose a couple of matches. They lost against XO. I think Fnatic losing some of their players also puts them far lower down. I think the top 4 teams, I would say Origin, us, Schalke, and G2, I think are of very high caliber. And then there's Misfits and I guess Splice and SK. I think the league overall, I don't think there's a game where you're like, okay, this is going to be a free win. I think everything is challenging in its own way. When I compare this year to last year, I think maybe with time. I think with time, if Fnatic pick up pace and Misfits really get their shit together and kind of mesh in a proper way, I think for sure. But right now, in this moment, it's hard to judge. It's very hard to judge.
If you had to compare Vitality from Spring Split last year at its current state, week 5, to this Vitality, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate that Vitality and this Vitality?
I think, people like to speak of us as a team that just likes to team fight, but this is, like for sure, like if people want to think this about us, it just helps us because they are in this mindset that, if we are ahead against Vitality, we're going to win. If we win early game, like looking at our games, there were a lot of games where we were behind early and we bounced back. We were very behind against Misfits and then we destroyed them anyway. If people want to summarize us into just, they team fight, they 5v5 and they do crazy things, they TP an enemy base, then God bless them. But if I want to go back to your question, I start ranting about other things. Back to your question, I think the biggest difference is that there is no need for band-aid solutions. As a coach, sometimes you have, some players have flaws, some players have strengths and weaknesses, and you have to kind of put things together anyway with like pieces of Band-Aid, and that's not gonna last. And I feel like right now in our current alteration is pretty much, we don't have those weaknesses that we need to kind of Band-Aid up. I have 5 fantastic mechanical players that are very hungry and motivated, and we're on a very clear path. We are improving constantly, and I think that is the big kind of confidence boost for us in terms of preparing against the likes of G2 and coming into international events. I feel like our peak is much higher than before.
Speaking of international events, if you were to be one of the 3 teams going to Rift Rivals, for example, do you think that you could realistically beat any NA team right now?
Yeah, for sure. I think the NA LCS right now is not that great. I think Team Liquid and then I guess Cloud9 is the second team, but I think the league is very messy. A lot of the big names are not performing, and I think that's disappointing. I have to say as well that this is probably the year where I watched NA LCS the least, because I think it has degraded. But I think a team like TSM with the roster can do better. I think Team Liquid, Cloud9, I guess Team Liquid would be the team that you would have to beat. But I think Team Liquid is definitely beatable for us. I think they would not adjust well to the pace that we have over here in LC.
One last question. Cabochard has been consistently underrated, or he's been like thrown into the mix a lot more these days. When Frosk and Shocks did the recent Euphoria episode, originally which you were supposed to join, but you had other other circumstances. Yeah. Everyone was supposed to form their EU super team and like pick one player from each team, and I think both of them would have went with Cabo in the top lane. Okay. But that said, he always gets, kind of like second or third place compared to like Wanda in particular, who's, been really stepping it up. Is Cabo like the unsung hero of Vitality right now?
I think this year he definitely has received more praise. Mm-hmm. I think he's playing a meta where he can show off more. I think at Worlds, when he got to play Urgot and Aatrox and such, he got to show off as well. And it was a full year of him playing Sion, There was a full year of every top player playing Sion. and we've stepped away from that. So it's much easier for like the outside eye to see, oh, Cabo is doing very well. Like today, he missed some Urgot ults, and he could have probably solo killed Odoamne 10 times, but he did very well in lane, and unsung hero, sure. I think Cabo does so much for our team environment. He's very, very cerebral about everything, very mindful, and he's my second-hand man, pretty much. I think I see him as a team captain. I know that I can share anything with him, and he's a big part of our success.
It's great to hear. Silas, as a champion, I think has lost every time he was played in EU so far. I think the game was lost. I'm like 99% sure that's true. Do you think that pick is like should not be recognized right now, or does it actually have value in the right circumstances and it's just misused, and going up against Urgot is just a death sentence essentially?
It's rough because a champion like Silas, there are when you pick it, there's so many factors for the first time. Like sure, you have to think about how champions interact with champions, but all of a sudden you are using their ults. Sometimes you go into solo, you pick Silas, and you're like, I'm supposed to steal Irelia ult, Sivir ult, and then some other crap. You know, so it's something that people need to adjust to think, I think. And with some time, maybe it's good, maybe not. I'm not sure.
Would be exciting to see him win for once. So anything you would like to say to the Vitality fans?
Keep cheering for us. We will deliver fun games. That's what we do. That's our motto. And keep using our hashtag V for Vitality, or V for Victory. What did I just say?
V for Vitality.
V for Vitality, V for Vendetta, and V for Victory.
Just use all three. One of them is going to work. One of them is going to work. And a hashtag for the people that watch until the end.
All right. For some reason, I was so ready for you to pop that question, so I started popping out hashtags already there.
Hashtags are already there.
And
we'll just go with that.
Hashtag V for Victory. Let's use that one, as always.
Like all three of them, you know, V for Victory, V for Vitality, and V for Vendetta. All three of them, just pop them in the comments. Thank you so much, Yamato, for your time. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. This was Darius from the Shotcaller. Hope you have a good day. See you guys then. Bye-bye. We'd especially like to thank Krzysztof Bujnowicz, Etienne, Thomas Göttel, Dominik Bolze, Lazy Raven, Adam Novosviat, Erich Althaus, and La Maviota for your very special support. And of course, also, we'd like to thank all the people whose names you see scrolling past you right now. And of course, also all the people that like, comment, subscribe, and support our work. Without you, our work wouldn't be possible. Thank you very much.